said, I could be an agronomist anywhere. So how often do you get a chance to come back to the family farm? So I was able to come back, and they put me in a tractor, and I didn't want to leave since. So in 2011, I became a partner with Charlie and Alan. Charlie and Alan, they were 50-50. All expenses, all income was 50-50. When I became a partner with them, I was a 20% partner, so it was 40% Charlie, 40% Alan, 20% Aaron. And then in 2014, Charlie approached me and said, how would you like to farm your mom and dad's ground, which ironically was about 20% of the land base. So Charlie put it as, you can either be 100% of 20% or 20% of 100, whichever way you want to look at it. So the math works out pretty well, but it's been a real blessing in disguise. It's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot of stuff that I would normally not know had I been a partner. Charlie and Alan, they have their niches in what they do in their operation, and that knowledge needs to get passed down to the next operation. And I'm not saying I'm doing it any better by Charlie and Alan by any stretch of the imagination, but at least I got a flavor of it and a chance to try to make my own marketing decisions, my own mechanical decisions as well.
But yeah, when we were at your place, you mentioned how you started working for your family, and then they made you a partner at 20%, and then they transferred the 20% ownership of
Mm-hmm.
of the acreage. So can you go into a little more detail about how that
Sure.
transaction
Yeah,
happened?
the number of acres that Charlie and Alan picked up was roughly 20% increase over what they had already. So for whatever reason, that 20% seems to work out well in all of our equations. So in 2009, I was just an employee, and feeling it out, if I liked it, if they liked me, if I wanted to do this, and I couldn't get enough of it. It's kind of like swimming in chocolate. It's just so much of good stuff. So in 2011, I was asked to be a partner, and that was a lot of fun as well. It got me exposed to a lot more intricacies of what it takes to farm. I mean, raising a crop is almost the easy thing. So all the financial side of things, where it comes down to machinery, just daily management of cattle and crops, and then also balancing family life, which I think everybody could always use a little bit more work on balance in their lives. So fast forward to 2014, I was asked to see if I wanted to farm my mom and dad's land, which again was roughly 20% of the land base that Charlie and Alan were farming. So I was able to take over my mom and dad's acres. They weren't farming anymore. They were renting it out to Charlie and Alan and myself, because I was a partner as well. So I was writing my parents 20% of the rent checks along with the other landlords. And in turn, I was also renting equipment from Charlie and Alan as well, since they had the major investment in all the equipment and I was starting off. I would be writing rent checks to Charlie and Alan, and also equipment custom rate rent checks so they could harvest my grain. So the math works out. I was able to make a profit and able to grow and start investing in my own pieces of equipment in my own enterprises as well, to lessen the cost of what I owed to my cousins. And then I remember getting back to the 2014 discussion. Charlie asked me if I wanted to farm my mom and dad's land, and I remember saying it scares the heck out of me. But it was a great thing for me to be exposed to as well, because as I alluded to earlier, that Charlie has his roles in the farm, Alan has his roles in the farm as well, and I was able to expose myself to those particular roles as well. And Charlie and Alan do such a great job with what they do already. There was no reason for them to change anything other than the fact to let me get exposed to it as well and continue on that knowledge and then that expertise into years to come. So I've been using Charlie and Alan not only for their equipment, but the most valuable thing is their advice and their guidance. I often get some guardian angel phone calls from Charlie and Alan, just checking in and asking how things are going, and I've always got questions with all those hours in the tractor. You got a lot of time to daydream and think of things that you could be doing, should be doing, or whether you don't know if you should be doing that or not. So that's when Charlie and Alan come in extremely invaluable to me.
Yeah, if you have an idea, you can run it past them, and maybe they did it 20 years ago.
Exactly. Maybe they've done it before in the past, what their problems were with it. They'll say something like, don't even think about that. That's not, there's so many problems with that scenario, and that's good to know. That can be make it or break it in some situations.
So how did, financing the land transfer happen?
Yeah.
If you are willing to talk about that.
Sure.
Yeah.
We were able to. Charlie is really great at bookkeeping. That's one of his he's a genius when it comes to that level. And he doesn't even use Excel spreadsheets or Quicken or anything. It's all handwritten out on these huge pieces of paper. So I was able to see all of the expenses, all of the income, and we were able to determine that in the first year I was able to take out a $60,000 operating loan, and that covered roughly 20% of the expenses. And with the cash flow involved in all of that, I was, the expenses for that year were a lot higher, but by the time I wasn't able to ever reach that $60,000 limit. So crops started coming in. I was able to whittle that $60,000 operating loan down as well to stay well underneath the allowed amount to me. So with Charlie and Alan's expertise in all of their years of farming, managing their money, it was pretty easy for the loan officer to look at that. And the loan officer had been working with Charlie and Alan for years and years as well. So meticulous record keeping, not only of finances, but of grains coming in and out, and payments as well. So.
Okay, wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So you kind of were able to build off their history to show them this works.
Yes.
And this is a good investment.
Yep. Yep, exactly. And I'm a bit of a book nerd myself. I get that from my mom, and Charlie only exploits that out of me, which I like as well. And so I get into the weeds with my numbers, and I enjoy that part of it. It's fun to see it on their operation and other people's examples, but when you start dealing with your own numbers, that's when it gets exciting as well. You get a lot more involved with that. So it can be pretty dry for some people to learn all of these. You deal with hypotheticals, and but once it's your own real life experiences and what you're trying to do out there, those numbers start talking to you, and it makes it a lot easier to deal with.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then do you rent that land?
Yeah. Yep. In 2000, I can't remember, 2015, 2016, we were able to buy 80 acres from my mom and dad. And mom and dad set a price on the 80 acres where the house sits and the barns and the grain bins. And what we did, mom and dad put a price on the 80 acres, and then we surveyed off about 7 acres where the house and the 3-stall garage sit. The mortgage is on the other 73 acres. So the house is free and clear for whatever reason. If I can't make my payments, the house, I always have a place to lay my head and not have to worry about making payments. The rest of the land, if I can't make my payments, is able to go through a restructuring, refinancing situation, and heaven forbid have to turn it over to the bank. But at least my house and the 3-stall garage is secure in its future. So
that's great.
Yeah, and otherwise I farm a total of everything all put together, the shelter belts and the grass waterways. 720 acres is all of it. There's only about 80 acres, a little over 80 acres of pasture, and 520 is tillable.